The court evaluates Matthias's stalking claims amid public scrutiny and legal complexities. The judge did sign off on the emergency restraining order, and Lauren dropped it due to her not wanting Law and Crime to stream the case, and especially her 8-year-old son who was subpoenaed. Will she reopen the case or go another route?
Occurred in public places or online. Matthias claimed that they interfered with her work. But the stalker and Lindsay and others also work in the true crime space.
Thank you,
and
guys.
have been regular attendees of the trials. She does not work at trials in the courtroom. She does not.
Yeah, I don't watch her all the time. I definitely support the channel. I use the content when it applies to something that I like about what John's saying. And again, she's the only other content creator that got an interview and that Deb and Chris Stearns trusted to give an interview to. All right. And she got blasted for that too. I went on Reddit to go see what people were saying, and they were running hard on her for having the Stearns on the show. Anybody that was involved in the Madeline Soto case and these people didn't like it, they were going hard. So Lauren was raised a Mormon. I think she's LDS, but yeah, I just don't watch them all the time. I stand with Lauren. I know that Deb stands with Lauren as well. She's on, again, Lauren and John were the only one that got the interview and that was trusted enough. So thank you. Thank you guys for filling me and the audience in about her, because I don't watch her all the time, but I absolutely stand with her and John, and don't always agree with their perspectives, but it doesn't matter. I still respect them.
She has drawn things.
Lindsay is one of the people
and given them to me for free.
Involved in this.
She does not work. But anyway, let's move on. Lindsay, Christina, Janice, Lori have just as much of right to be in public spaces and participate in public events as Matthias. This is not a situation where the stalker has accosted Matthias at home or any other non-public space. Third, Matthias's own conduct cuts strongly against any notion that she feared for her safety. Matthias and Grayson repeatedly approached, confronted, or attempted to confront Christina, Lindsay, and Janice, and others. No, I didn't. And not only does this contradict Matthias's testimony that she subjectively feared these individuals or was distressed, but a reasonable person in her circumstances would not engage in the conduct that Matthias has engaged in. Finally, the Matthias declaration and Grayson's declaration on their face deal only with Matthias's alleged subjective feelings.
No, I think it's confusing because it was a 9-hour live and she was putting everything out there. She put all content starting from when this started. Now, if you actually were to get through most of it, you'll realize that it was a disgruntled person that didn't like her and that ultimately turned on her for whatever reason, but it crossed the line and it crossed boundaries when that person came for her husband and started messaging her real life contacts where she was losing work and showing up at places and harassing. You can have an opinion. That is not where it crosses the line. Someone could be talking shit about me right now on YouTube, and that doesn't cross the line. You're allowed to have your opinions. Where it crosses the line is when you start calling people's jobs, calling their friends and telling them stuff, going to their house, showing up somewhere, giving their personal property away. All right. That's where it becomes that. You're very welcome. I know it's a little confusing.
The Baird court specifically warned against granting an injunction based solely on the subjective factors. Relatedly, Matthias makes no attempt to connect the dots between Stalker's alleged statements and conduct and the extreme subjective reaction Matthias alleges. In sum, Matthias fails to show requisite mental state, causation, or objectively reasonable fear or emotional distress. These are treated as content-based if they cannot be justified without reference to the content of the regulated speech, or if they were adopted by the government because of disagreement with the message the speech conveys. In this case, each provision of the requested injunction is content-based and does not withstand strict scrutiny. Personal conduct. This section requires an order commanding Stalker to not stalk Matthias, and then recites references the statutory definition of stalking. This provision is problematic for three main reasons. First, as a practical matter, it is vague, unenforceable, and redundant of other provisions. Utah law already prohibits stalking, and there would be no way to enforce the order without resort to the courts. The parties are attending the hearing to determine if stalking has occurred. There is no reason to enter an order that requires the court to do the exact same thing anytime Matthias believes a stalker is stalking her. Actually, this is the first time I've ever done it, and I sent in receipts. This is especially true since it is not clear what the personal conduct order adds apart from the other provisions. Second, the issuance of requested injunction. Oh, thank you for saying that. injection
And yeah, the courts can decide if she is going too far, which I don't think so. When you look at that evidence, it's clear that boundaries have been majorly crossed. It's not just, she's not just saying your husband isn't a doctor. She's calling people and telling them that his credentials aren't right. Oh, he doesn't work there. That's defamation when you're a public figure. I mean, it could be defamation with anything, but that girl's crossed the line. Let's keep going. I want to see some of this stuff. No, this is when she said she was really scared. So look at, she was out somewhere eating dinner with her friends. And this chick, you guys call Christina, I think this is her. She's back there taking pictures of them. How would you like that?
Going harassment, bullying, and stalking has had on Lauren.
Yep.
She has been deeply stressed, depressed, and worried about her safety, her family's safety, her reputation, and her business that she has worked so hard to build. End quote. Susan Hendricks, former CNN anchor, quote, both Lauren and myself are trained and seasoned journalists. When being trained as a journalist, you are trained to be non-emotional, to have thick skin, and to push through things. It is extremely clear to me from conversations I have had with Lauren that she has tried to remain that way, but at this point, she no longer can. End quote. Communications about an individual under Utah law. Under Utah Code 76.5.106.5.1 explicitly covers communications to or about an individual. The evidence overwhelmingly demonstrates communications about petitioner. Direct admissions by respondent, July 24th, quote, let me tell you, if she would have met the ex-friend of mine who I made this account to expose, she admits to making this account to expose me. August 8th. Can we talk about her own words and actions, though? August 29th.
So now she's going back on Lauren and saying she's the one that's doing this. Again, it crosses the line when you start reaching out to people, calling CPS, calling the IRS, calling your boss, signing people up to give things away, sending the health department, and doxing your family and putting your children up. That's where it crosses the line. All right. You know what law enforcement told me? They said, are they at your door? I said, no. I said, well, what happens if they show up to my door? Oh, call 911. Well, what happens if they try to come in? You know how long it takes for 911 to get there if you got people showing up at your door? It's crazy. It's crazy where the line gets drawn. Do you think that the line is drawn when they're eating dinner and this stalker is taking pictures of them? Was that a line that's being crossed? I'm confused about that.
Yeah, sure. I'm talking about this toxic person
I know,
and knew for a year. Search engine optimization to target petitioner. Some of the respondents' videos posted to TikTok are also tagged with my name.
Well, Mab, you're on the YouTube streets, my friend. You know all about this. Lauren from Hidden True Crime is being stalked and bullied, and she's going through all of it and sharing it with us. So what's up, Mab? Good to see you. You guys, all I have to say to you is Turtle Island, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. It is a public place. You're absolutely right. But it's just like saying it's a public place and she's a public figure. So you're allowed to butt in and she has a restraining order. So is she allowed to be that close to her taking pictures with the restraining order? Oh, that's the pic from CrimeCon when she was already served a restraining order. Hey, I'm going to be at Turtle Island. Is going to be interesting to see what happens next week. Everybody got their feelings hurt, and I wonder how many people are actually going to leave. Mab, you were there when my ass got handed to me on Turtle Island, and I walked away with my head up. I don't know. People can dish it, but they can't take it. It's a bar at CrimeCon. Much love, Kel. Good to see you.
My husband's name and my business name. This means that when someone searches up my name, the respondents' videos pop up.
That sucks, too. So when you're looking for
respondents' own statements confirm this is purely personal vendetta. A 1-year friendship. August 29th post, quote, I'm talking about this toxic person I met and knew for a year, end quote. The attempting to burn her kingdom.
I don't know.
On a July 31st post with audio about, quote, inconvenient truths that would burn your false kingdom to the fucking ground, end quote. The August 23rd comment from Lori. Again, Grayson's dentist wife. Quote, Burn that false kingdom down, 4 exclamation points. Professional interference. Respondent has contacted UNLV regarding husband's petition. National news producers warning against working with me.
There it is.
John DeLand of Mormon Stories, colleagues, multiple colleagues in petitioner's industry, and crime victims. The petition.
I think the stalker's end goal in her situation and mine was to get me fired, was to make people hate me, was to call out what they think I did. And I think it's the same thing all around. She wants her gone. She wants her fired. She wants her unhappy. She wants her scared. In my opinion, that's her end goal. All right, let's go a little bit more forward because we're not going to be here for that much longer. I just want you to understand what the hell happened.
Coverage would chill petitioner's testimony and impair the fair administration of justice. The dignity of the proceedings and protection of a stalking victim requires closure. No kidding. The reasons for closure relate to the specific circumstances of the stalking case. No reasonable alternatives to closure would adequately protect petitioner's interests. No compelling public interest outweighs these substantial concerns. Regarding court records classified as private, denying the media request for access to court records, maintaining the private classification of all records in this manner consistent with Utah Code of Judicial Administration Rule, classifying the record of the evidentiary hearing as private, making findings pursuant to Rule 4202 that the interest in protecting petitioner's personal safety, privacy, and security substantially outweigh any public interest in disclosure. B, that there are no reasonable alternatives to denial that would adequately protect petitioner's safety and privacy concerns. And C, disclosure would enable continued stalking, harassment, and defamation. Other general relief, issuing a written order with the specific findings that is required by Rule 4202 and Rule 4401. Sealing or otherwise protecting any transcripts, audio recording, or other records of the evidentiary hearing.
No, I don't think
granting such other and further relief as the court deems just and proper conclusion. The court should reject the unspecified, unverifiable media request. Utah's judicial administration rules recognizes that some proceedings, particularly those involving victims of stalking, harassment, and abuse, require protection from public disclosure. Specifically classified stalking injunction records as private, authorizes closure of hearings when the interest justifying closure would be prejudiced by release of the record. Rule 4401 permits prohibition of electronic media coverage when reasons are sufficiently compelling. This is precisely such a case. Petitioner seeks legal protection from a stalker, providing that protection requires petitioner to testify about traumatic experiences, reveal sensitive details, routine, location, safety, requiring this testimony to occur in front of media representatives subject to recording and broadcasting would place petitioner and her family in immediate physical danger, re-traumatize the victim, chill full and truthful testimony, and enable respondents' continued campaign of harassment, transform a protective proceeding into a public spectacle, and serve no compelling public interest. The court has both the authority and the obligation to protect stalking victims who seek its assistance. The protection must include shielding victims from forced public exposure of their trauma while seeking legal relief.
Yes.
Signed October 8th.
Yes, Lauren. Yes. Take your power back, girl.